Back with the live stream. I'm trying to put this on live chat. Okay. Back with a live stream. I have been trying to go live, especially in the morning, for like the past few days, and it just has not been working out. But we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to complain. We are grateful that so far, 30 seconds into this stream, things are going well. And hopefully it stays that way while we're here talking together this morning. Hope we're in the park again. You know, when we're in the park, dogs feel the need to like run up on you, boy. You know, the canines feel the love. You know, they can feel the energy. If there was cats out here, they'd probably be running up on me too. So we're gonna try to sit here. We're gonna try to talk for a while. How you doing, Danny? How you doing, Cesar? We got Peggy checking in as well. Kevin, we got a good topic this morning. I think we got a good topic this morning. I wanted to talk about the fact that we're not being irresponsible. We just want to be free. Okay? There's a spelling error in my title. Why did that not surprise me? I just thought about that. I was like, I didn't check. I didn't check the title before I went live. Well, I can't edit it while I'm talking, so y'all just have to deal with the spelling error. I apologize for that. What up, John? Nothing like somebody telling you made an error right in the beginning of the stream to get you off track. We're not going to let that happen today. The title was supposed to say, you're not irresponsible, you just want to be free. Okay? And that's what we're going to talk about, regardless of what the title says, because I think that in today's society, whenever we try to do something, good morning, Grimlock, whenever we try to do something that brings us more freedom, I shouldn't say whenever, but sometimes, when we try to do something that brings us more freedom, or we try to do something that is more in line with like who we are and what we want to do, people always tell us we're being irresponsible, right? You notice that? And so what happens is we start to believe this. And I know this is something I run into a lot in my personal life, which is why I wanted to talk about it. I imagine a lot of y'all are the same, is that like we want to be responsible people. We want to do what's best. You know, we want to like, we don't want to go through life just kind of doing whatever. It's like we want to get the best out of this life. And so like we're trying to do the right thing, if you will. We're not trying to be irresponsible. So when people keep telling us, oh, that's irresponsible, that's not good, that's not right, like we start to believe it. And so when there are things that come up and you're like, man, I would really like to do that, or man, that seems like a good idea, or like that seems in line with like who I am and how I want to live my life, or like my moral code, or it'll just allow me to be free. You know, I don't mind, you know, putting in effort. I don't mind putting in time, putting in energy. You know, but I just want to be free. Like I want to live my life. But when people are like, that's irresponsible, it kind of stops us in our tracks, because like we don't want to be irresponsible. Right? You know what I mean? But it's not being irresponsible. It's really not being irresponsible a lot of the times. Now, sometimes maybe it is. Sometimes maybe it is. Sometimes before we even get into that, it's okay every now and then to be a little irresponsible. Let's talk about that first. It's okay every now and then to take a little time, be a little irresponsible. We don't always have to be nose to the grindstone, doing the right thing, work, hustle, 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 go, go, go. It is okay in life for brief periods of time, I feel, to be a little irresponsible if you want to. I'm taking some time off. I'm just doing me right now, right? I'm just enjoying some time right now. This seems like fun. I need a little break. However, in the grand scheme of things, we like to be irresponsible, and a lot of times the things that people label irresponsible are just different. The things that people label irresponsible are just abnormal. They're just not the common way of doing things. But here's the thing. If you don't want like the common life, if you don't want like the normal life, then you're going to have to do some things that other people think are abnormal. You're going to have to do some things different. Like if you want a different life, we're going to have to do some things that are different. And if other people think that's irresponsible, that's on them. And here's the thing too, like this is what I always ask myself is like, Tim, are you still going to be able to like pay your bills? Yes. Are you going to be mooching off of anybody? No. You know what I mean? Are you going to be asking anybody for anything? No. Are you going to still be handling your responsibilities? And if the answer is yes, then I'm being responsible, right? And now, of course, a lot of times when people will say, well, yeah, you're doing that now, but what about in the future? If you know, if you do that, what about your future? What about this? What about that? It is so interesting to me how often we don't take advantage of the opportunities we currently have. You ever noticed how often we don't take advantage of the opportunities we currently have, or we don't take advantage of them to the fullest extent possible because we're so worried about them like going away? We're so worried about that it's like short term, right? We might have an opportunity to do something, and people are like, well, if you do that, what about the future? What about this? It's like, well, so I'm just like not going to, I'm just gonna like not take full advantage of the opportunities or the blessings or the abundance I have now because I'm scared that it might go away in the future, or doing it now might somehow affect my future. And it's just like, well, that's not the way to live life. That's like a scared mindset. That's like a scarcity mindset. The idea of like, oh, there's only a certain amount of what like money you're gonna get in life, or there's only a certain amount of like, the only thing that we're guaranteed to only a certain amount is like time. You know what I mean? But it's just like this ideal that when you have the opportunity, when you have the time, you shouldn't do it because it would be irresponsible for your future. It's like, let the future deal with the future. Just like how right now we're dealing with the present. When the future comes around, we will deal with that present as well. Now, I do think it is wise to look to the future a little bit. And once again, with being responsible, you do look to the future a little bit, but that doesn't mean like your whole life has to be planning for the future. I just see so many people scared to do stuff now because they think it would be irresponsible for the future. And I'm like, but what's that future going to look like if you don't take full advantage of the blessings you have now? You know what I mean? Like why do, like, I look at it this way. I'm trying to like live in the moment. I'm trying to enjoy my life now, take full advantage of the opportunities I have now, because like, A, the future isn't promised, and B, if I don't do that fully now, that future is not going to be as bright. This is the way I see it. You know what I mean? The way to make sure my future, you know what I mean? The way to make sure I'm taking care of in my future is to do the things I feel like I'm moved to do now. We get so wrapped up in like the money of the future. And I understand nobody wants to be broke. Nobody wants to be out on the streets. I understand that. But you ever notice how much focus we put on having money in the future? That's like the main thing. You just have to make sure you're taken care of financially for your future. That's the main thing. People out here killing themselves working 80 hours a week. And once again, I understand it. I'm not judging. But it's like we're out here killing ourselves working 80 hours a week so we can have money for the future. But meanwhile, like, we're killing ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, what good's the money going to do you if you don't make it past 50 because you're killing yourself? The things that we don't view as irresponsible. You know what I mean? If someone's out here just grinding, hustling 24/7, killing themselves, we think that's responsible because it's all about the money up here. Say, oh, that person's putting money aside for the future. So yeah, but they're destroying their body. But they'll get to, you know what I mean? It's like, no. That's why I'm like, if I see something and it's like, hey, this might give me a little freedom or give me more freedom, it'll help my mental health, I'm gonna go for that. One way to ensure you have a great future is to keep our mental health where it needs to be, right? To keep our mental health where it needs to be. I'm trying to do things now. Freedom is like at the top of my list. There's freedom, there's love, and there's chicken wings. Freedom is one of the things at the top of my list because it helps me mentally. You know why I come to the park on a day like this and sit here and talk? It's because I love spending time with y'all. The sun shining on. I'm about to have to take this jacket off here to bed it. The sun's coming up. It's good for my mental health. This is good for me. These are the things I think we should prioritize. And I know a lot of people like, well, you're not doing anything. That's being irresponsible. Taking time off work. If I got a little money saved up and I got a little money coming in, taking a few months off work. A lot of people would say that's irresponsible. Oh, you need to work till you're 67. Then you can enjoy your life. Like, what? No. How is it irresponsible if it's making me happy, if I'm feeling free, if I'm feeling joyful, I feel alive? People don't want you to like feel alive. Right? You know what I mean? Like, if you're thinking about doing something and it makes you feel alive, That's what life is about. It's not about, always doing the right thing for the future. It's like, bro, you got to enjoy your present. The you in the past who was doing the right thing for the future, you're that future now. Take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, and like I said, I understand we've been programmed to believe this stuff is, but it's like, no, there's nothing wrong with doing things differently. There's nothing wrong with taking breaks in life. You know me, I'm on that. If you got the opportunity, do nothing. I get a lot of flack for making videos about that, but I'm like, if you got the opportunity and it don't involve doing nothing illegal and you ain't mooching off people, if you got the opportunity to do nothing, do nothing. Just enjoy yourself. That doesn't mean it's irresponsible. If you look, the funny thing is, if you look at people, like, I'm not even gonna say in general, I'm just gonna say, look in our own lives. If we look around our own lives at the people we know directly or we know through some other people, I know I've noticed that the people who've kind of went their own way and just designed their life the way they wanted it to, despite what other people said about them, those seem to be like the people doing the best overall. You know what I mean? Honestly, those seem to be the people who are checking the boxes of doing well in like all the categories, or they're doing well enough. I see a lot of other people who's like, oh, I want to do the right thing. I want to be responsible. I want to do the adult thing, whatever word we put on it. I don't know. Sometimes they seem to always be struggling. You know what I mean? And that's not laughing at anybody. I don't like that. But I'm like, it's the people I know who are very just adamant and like, this is the way to do it. Those are the ones that seem to come out struggling, or they always have to keep doing it that way. I'm like, when's the payoff? When's the payoff for like being responsible, being an adult? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see it. Like, you think it would just be like, oh, I see it. Like, you do it like this and then boom. I'm like, no, especially this day and age. I'm not seeing the payoff. So I'm like, I'm gonna get out here and just enjoy my life. You know what I mean? And I keep my bills low. I keep my responsibilities low. And that way it's easy to handle them. And then beyond that, like, who cares about people's opinion? Like, if I'm not bothering you, if we're not bothering you, why does it bother you? Like, if I'm not bothering you for money or anything like that, why does it bother you what I do? That's what you have to ask yourself too. Like, why do people get so worked up? Why are they so bothered? This ain't got nothing to do with them. This is us deciding. I just feel like this normal, regular way of doing things isn't really working for me. And there's some things I've been thinking about for a while, and I just never felt like the time was right to do it in the framework which other people said to do it. But I'm thinking I'm just going to go for it. You know what I mean? And people like to say things like, oh, in this economy, that's irresponsible. The job market being the way it is, that's irresponsible. With this, they're always going to try to point to like current events, but they're always doing that. There's never been a time where the irresponsible police have said it was the right time. Never, never, never. Best economy ever, worst economy ever, best what, like they always say it's not the right time. And so we start picking up that idea of like, oh man, I'll wait till this, I'll wait till that. I just think that in life, when certain opportunities are put in front of us, and we have the ability to do it, and we can make it, we think we can make it work. There's no guarantees, but we think we can make it work. We don't have to go for it, but I think it's a good idea to go for it. If we're really trying to like live life, if we're really trying to, feel free, feel alive, there's going to be sacrifices. There's going to be risk. It's not going to feel like 100% the right time. You're going to feel like you're doing things because we've been programmed. We're going to feel like we're doing something wrong. I always talk about like the first time I was just living off, for a few months off my YouTube money. And this was 2019, end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And I just felt so guilty walking around downtown Bozeman on like a Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock, everybody going to work, everybody working. And I just felt so guilty. And I'm like, wow, that's how deep the programming goes. That is like, I wasn't collecting a check, or I wasn't, taking money from my mom or something. Like, no, I had earned the right. I had earned the right to like take some time off. I was probably gonna go home that day and live stream, you know? So I'm working, but just the ideal of like I wasn't working like everybody else. I've been so programmed that it felt like I was doing something wrong. I'm like, Tim, this is crazy. This you got to do more of this. You got to do more of this so you get out of that mind frame. And I'm blessed to say I don't see it like that at all now. Just despite how much people try to, jump on me and keep saying, and it's funny, like, you do something long enough, you hear the same responses. The haters aren't very original. This is what I've learned. Haters are not very original. Haters gonna keep saying, haters just say the same stuff over and over again, because they're programmed too. A lot of people are programmed haters. I'm about to have to come off this jacket. Hold on. The hate is programmed too. So a lot of the haters just say the same things over and over again. And that really helps you to see, like, the haters are helpful. The haters are helpful because it allows you to see that, like, oh, people aren't making valid points. They're just parroting back what they've heard. They're just telling you what other people told them. In fact, I think sometimes they're telling you what other people told them because they're hoping you'll give them a reason to do something irresponsible. I think sometimes people come at us and they low-key want us to, like, justify what they want to do. Like, they got an idea, but they're feeling like it's irresponsible. So they see somebody else doing something, like, let me pick on Tim for a little bit. And they may not be doing this consciously, but their subconscious mind might be like, hey, let me go over there and pick on Sharon real quick because she's living her best life. And maybe when she responds to me, she'll give me something I can use so I can start living my best life. But yeah, the haters aren't very original. It's the same stuff over and over again. And that lets you know, like, oh, this isn't real. All of this stuff is made up. Like, nothing's real. Womb to tomb. All you got to do is get from womb to tomb. Nothing ever says you had to get the womb to tomb responsibly, the right way. You just do it. That's life, just doing what feels right at the time. And now, as we live, we learn. So I know me definitely. In the past and even now, not as much now, but a lot of times in the past, things I thought were right, I realized I weren't. I realized they weren't, excuse me. And that's how I know not to do them no more. You know what I mean? And that might be whatever we're pondering right now. There's no guarantees. Some of the things we're pondering right now that we might try, we will try them and they will fail. They will not work out. But maybe we were prompted to try them right now for something that's gonna come up 5 years from now. And if I don't try it now, if we don't try it now, we won't learn the lesson we need in 2031. 2031 roll around, you're like, oh, I remember 2025, I tried so-and-so, let me boom, 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 So I just, once I've started to see how this life thing comes together, you just start to realize that, like, the whole, like, let me play it safe, let me just get a comfort zone and just stay in it and just keep doing the same things over and over again. If that's what an amazing life looks like to you, fine. But I think for a lot of us, that's what's holding us back because we're just not getting out there. We're not bringing in more information. We're not bringing in more experiences. You don't get wise by doing the same thing over and over again. You get really wise in that, but you learned that 20 years ago. It's like, we got to be out here doing more, if we want to be learning more, if we want to get more experience. It's just like, we got to be trying this stuff. There's a reason we have these ideas. There's a reason we have these longings, things we want to do. It's not just some weird part, there's a reason. It all works together. This is the universe. This is God prompting you, like, hey, if you try this, this might be helpful in your life. There's a reason the things you want to do are totally different from the things I want to do. Because we're totally different people, from totally different backgrounds, totally different environments, totally different energy. It's all energy, but different energies. All energy, but different energies, So there's a reason we all look at the world different, see it different, want to do different things. But instead of embracing all the difference and uniqueness, if we just all like do the same thing, like, what is that teaching anybody? I feel like I'm not doing my part for humanity. People always talking about, oh, you got to do for the greater good and all this, and I agree with that. I feel like I'm not doing my part for humanity if I'm not fully doing me. because I was put here to be me. I was put in this body, labeled Timothy Ward, to be that for this existence. If I'm not fully being that, well, then I'm not helping out the collective to the maximum. If I'm just doing, living a cookie cutter life like everyone else, I can only help within those confines. But if I do Timothy Ward to the max, then all that unique Timothy Wardness, or if you do you to the max, all that uniqueness that is you're bringing to the table. Can't nobody else do it, right? Nobody else can do it. Nobody else can do it but you. Nobody else can do it but me. And I think that's why we get prompted. I think that's why we have these ideas. The reason we have imagination, we've made imagination a bad thing. Imagination is cool until about third grade. And right? They tell you all this imagination stuff when you're young. But then as you get older, suddenly imagination goes out the window and you got to conform. That was cool when you were in second grade. In pre-K, imagination is great. But now you're in the fourth grade and you need to start being a big boy, Timmy. You know what I mean? Nah, then it's conform. Do what we say do. That's irresponsible. That doesn't make sense. Like, okay, even if it is, let me live my life irresponsibly. That's what I want to say to people sometimes. Like even, and sometimes it's people who mean well and they really care about you and your future. But it's like we all have to let people do, even if you care about somebody, you have to let them do what they do. Right? Because that's how they learn, that's how they live their lives. And there's totally a difference between like giving advice and like lecturing somebody. You can give somebody advice. Here's the thing. If you give someone advice and that advice turns out to not be the best for them, hey, I was just trying to throw a little advice. If you lecture somebody and then you turn out to be wrong, ooh. I gave a friend of mine some advice recently, a few months ago, and the situation, my advice was not to do what they didn't want to do it. Anyway, there's a situation where both of us were kind of the same mind of like, this might not be the best thing. And I threw my advice in there and they ended up going ahead with the situation and it turned out to be an amazing thing. And like, she's so glad she did it. And so I had to tell her, I was like, well, hey, obviously my advice ain't always scripture, you know what I mean? But that was the thing. It was just like, I just gave my advice. I gave my little 2 cents. It turned out not to work out that time, but it'd have been different if it had been a lecture, right? If I'd been like, you need to do this, but I was like, I don't know about that, boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? So like, advice is fine. Getting advice from people is fine. But yeah, when people try to lecture us and tell us you shouldn't do that, there's no shouldn't. There's no shouldn't. You can do what you want. Do whatever you want. Even that's one of the big things in life. We're always saying, I should do this, I should do that. You can do that. You could do that. This should, as if there's rules, is crazy. The world puts so much pressure on us, then we put pressure on ourselves. Just the thought of wanting to do something different sometimes, we wig out on ourselves. You shouldn't think that way. You got to be an adult. Why? No one can ever explain to me why. All the stuff they say you should be, no one can ever explain to me why. Tim, you should be an adult. Why? Because that's what adults do. I'm like, okay, now you're just talking in circles. I should be an adult because that's what adults do. Like, what is this? Like, it's all this circular reasoning. You should do it this way. Why? Because that's how everybody does it. Well, why do they do it? Because it's what you should do. It's all circular reasoning. Hey, we just hit 100 likes. I appreciate that. Thank you. The numbers are looking good this morning. I feel like this is a topic. I know it's been hitting home with me recently, and y'all know me. I like to talk about the stuff that I'm going through. And there was recently a time when I started to succumb to I'm 45 now, and I will say I am thinking more long term. I will say that. But thinking more long term doesn't necessarily mean you have to start doing things a certain way. It's like, I'm thinking more long term. I am getting older, which I like to think first and foremost, that means I'm wiser, hopefully. I think I am. So I have more options now because I am wiser. I think I execute on those options better, those opportunities better, because I do have a little more experience, a little more wisdom. And I'm trying to keep getting more experience and more wisdom so that when I'm 50, 60, 70, I can say the same thing. But I'm like, so thinking more long term and trying to put some things in place that'll help me to fund my lifestyle or pay my bills uh, for as long as I have bills, as long as I'm here, you know, I may think a little bit more about that, but that doesn't mean I have to conform, and the way everybody else does that is the way I have to do it. And for a little bit there, I was going back to I was like, well, I guess I got to start doing this now, and I got to start. And then I realized, I'm like, Tim, and I think this is true for all of us. I'm like, in order for you to live your best life, like you got to do you. In order for you to live your best life, you got to do you. Like, it's not going to be my best life if I do other people, right? Once again, the reason, I think I have these callings, and the reason I feel pulled to live in a certain way, the reason I became a minimalist, because I think that's in line with like me. And after 10 years of minimalism, more than 10 years, I know that for certain. I feel like my life would be totally different if I hadn't become a minimalist. And I think this is the way it's supposed to be. Like, this is how it was supposed to be set up, right here, you know. And so yeah, you can be responsible and be irresponsible. I'm using irresponsible the second time, in like air quotes. It's like, you don't have to be like, oh, I want to be a responsible person, handle my bills, take care of my responsibilities. That means I can't do anything. I can't color outside the lines at all. That means I can't drift outside the lane at all. That means I have to pick a box, jump inside of it, close the lid, tape it over me, over myself, and stay in that zone. It's like, no, it's a wide world with infinite opportunity, infinite abundance. We can do all the things we need to do in a manner that feels more in line with us. Now, there may still be times when we have to, do certain things that we really ain't trying to do. It happens, it's just the world we're in. If we could all design the entire world and fix society, it wouldn't. But it's like, we can find a way to do what we need to do in a manner that feels better to us, feels freer to us. And I think that's the goal. You just want it to feel right. You know what I mean? You just want to feel alive. You just want to feel like you have some control. And we do have control. We do have control. A lot of times we have more control than we realize, but we're giving it up. Once again, it's this new slavery. Back in the day, you had no control. They physically had you in chains, but your mind could be free. These days, like, we're not physically enchained, but like, they got our minds locked up. And so that's why we're like, I don't have any control. I have to do it this way. And it's like, no, you don't. You have control. You have free will. Now, it may not be as comfortable. There might be ridicule. There's going to be sacrifices. But at the end of the day, like, if it works for you, it works for you. You don't care about the sacrifices. Like, we like making nothing we like more. Nothing we like more, folks, is to make sacrifices, and then it works, like whatever we're trying to do works out, and then we get to tell that story. Oh, I had to do this, and this to get where I'm at. You hear the people doing it now? We love it. We love talking about the hardships and the sacrifices we went through to get where we're at. So why are we not willing to do that? It'll be a great story. Oh, you think you have? Nah, look, I had to do this. Nobody believed in me. Everybody said I was being irresponsible. They thought I was being crazy. I knew though. The kids would be like, yes, Grandpa, we've heard the story 100 times. You knew that if you started a pumpkin patch and sold pumpkins, you become a millionaire, whatever, whatever your dream is. I try to come up with crazy off the wall dreams when I'm giving examples. Do it. It'll make a great story. If nothing else, it's a great story. And you'll feel better about your life. Anyway, folks, that was my 30-minute spiel. I'm going to jump in the chat right now. Seems like we had some really good conversations going on, chats going on. I'm just gonna jump in at a random place and um, start reading some comments here. Yeah, we live stream regularly, people. I love it. People say, hey, I was watching your old stream. Now you're doing another one. If they told me the pay was a certain rate at a job, Kevin, then came back and told me it was something else, would I accept the job? That depends. If I needed the job, if the second rate of pay was acceptable, I'm not going to blanketly say no. I do say it would be, I would need to know why they changed. Like if it was just like, hey, Caden, thank you. Shout out to the normies. What up, Caden? If Kevin, it was Super Chat Squad. Thank you, Caden. I appreciate the love. If it was Jaden, excuse me, Jaden. What am I saying, Caden? Jaden. That's a Jaden, right? Sorry, Jaden. Jaden cut. See, I was reading the see. Thank you, Super Chat Squad. Kevin, if they came to me and was like, hey, it was an accident. We thought it was this rate, but you know, HR came back and was like, no, it's this rate. I might not be mad. You know, like if they had a good reason. Some people make accidents, you know, like, you know, if it was a mistake, typo, whatever. But if they were just coming back being cheap, that might be a reason for me to say no. But I mean, if it's a good job and it's still decent money, you know, I don't, it's not always about the money. So if the second rate is still decent and it's a job you want, you know, and you don't think they're just being nasty people, I wouldn't say I definitely wouldn't take the job. It would be noted, it'd be logged that like, okay, they did this, but I don't think it would be a definite no. Facts, 8 billion people on the planet, 8 billion unique ways. Let's go. If your actions ain't hurting nobody, you know, just do you. By the way, appreciate it. Man, the numbers looking good today. Thank y'all. Chris, I do think there is some of that there. That like people who tell you not to follow your dream, some of them, it's a jealousy thing. I think some of them actually care and they're worried about you. And we've all received the same programming. So the things that like, the reason they think it might not work out is because they've been told their whole life it's irresponsible. It might not work out. So I don't always think it's jealousy. I think some people care. Some people are doing quite well. You know, sometimes you have people doing quite well for themselves and they're happy with their life. And so obviously they think the way they did is the right way. They were programmed to believe that and it worked for them. We see a lot of this with like, you know, older generations. They're like, hey, I just worked, got my pension. I'm retired now. I'm happy. Why don't you do the same thing? And it's like, hey, that don't work no more. The kids nowadays don't even know what a pension is. They like a pencil. They don't even know what a pencil is either. I don't know. So sometimes people, it's not totally jealousy. It might just be genuinely like I can only give you the game I got, right? So if that's all the game they got, that's what they're gonna serve up. It's just that like we have to realize like, okay, grandpa really loves me and that's what worked for grandpa. That just ain't what I want to do. You know, so it's not always jealousy, though it is sometimes. It definitely is sometimes. Hey, Ty, thank you. Super Chat Squad, I appreciate that love. Thank you so much. Said, hey, Tim, had a rough week at work, but watching your videos reminds me to stay positive and stop taking life too serious. Sorry to hear you had that rough week, Ty. I'm so sorry to hear that. I know all about the rough weeks at work. They're never fun. Hopefully this week will be a lot better. And I'm glad my videos could help a little bit in that. It's easy. It is easy. You know, to get wrapped up in that and for it to get us down, and it's understandable. Like we're at this place 40, 50 hours a week, surrounded by these people. But I think it's important if we can, it's helpful when we can focus on like, this is just a part of my life. This is just something I got to do, pay these bills. My real life is outside of this, right? You know what I mean? And it's not serious, you know, because I don't want a serious life. I'm enjoying my life. I'm gonna have fun. The 43 hours I got to come in here and deal with these people, I'll come in here and deal with them. But it's not, this is just a test. I'm getting through this, but this ain't my life. I appreciate that love, Ty. Thank you. And we got Tara coming through with the Canadian cash. Thank you, Tara. Super Chat Squad. Thank you. It's a number one. Yes, let's go. First super, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. First super chat. That's love. Thank you, Tara. And thank you, Ty. Tara and Ty. Let me jump back in these comments. Hey, you just paid your massive rent payment yesterday, Key. 25 days and counting. Be free to, yes, let's go. Let's go. About to be free. It's about freedom. I'm telling, it is about freedom. Do what you got to do to get freeze. And now we all have a different threshold for risk and sacrifice and all that. But like, if you can figure out a way to live your life in a manner that feels right to you, feels free to you, and you're enjoying life, you know what I mean? Like, it is possible. It is possible to enjoy life. I might have to do a whole stream about that. Because like in this day and age, that's radical thinking. I promise you, there's some people who are shaking their head right now. I don't know, Tim. You know, I don't know about that one. It's possible to enjoy your life. It might take some work. It'll take some sacrifice. What up, Grape Tea News? You know, they don't try to make it easy, but it's possible to enjoy your life, to be at a place where you're like, you know, it's cool. There's good days and bad days, but like, it's cool. You know what I mean? Despite anything that might get thrown at you, you know? So that, and I think a lot of that comes from living in a manner that doesn't feel as oppressive to us. Cause like when we're, you know, just, that weight and that pressure's on us, it's hard to be at peace. It's hard to get contentment. It's hard to go after the things we really want to. It's hard to see that aspect of life when life just seems to be like crushing us all the time. Glad to hear you done with rent though. That's always a good thing. I remember the last time I paid rent on my apartment. I was like, man, I remember the last 4 months or so. I'm like, man, I'm tired of paying this rent, bro. It's like, dang, like, oh, every month. And I had a roommate, so I was splitting the bills. But I was just like, man, I'm tired. Every month I got to pay these people $1,000, whatever. Like, it was crazy. Hey, Candace, I think taking back our power starts with us taking back our power in our own life. It's like we're quick to get together sometimes to try to like take back power, but we don't do it in our own life. Like it starts in our own life, you know? What up, Praveen? RJ, I don't really have a set pattern of how long do I work and then I stop. Like I work when I work and then I'm not working when I'm not working. I try not to be too rigid with it. I found whenever I start getting rigidity in my life, I start messing up. So you know, water is my spirit animal. So I just try to be like water. You know, when it's flowing in the work direction, we working. When it's not, it's not. You know what I mean? Like I don't have a set, you know, time periods or anything like that. Like, you know, I just got to do what I do. Which, you know, people say is irresponsible, but you know, it works for me. Cheryl got your I didn't catch all the other comments, but glad to hear your creativity's returned. And working at a beauty salon or retirement home is very freeing. Nice, nice. Amy working towards staying home, being a full-time writer. Nice, nice, nice. I hear a lot of people in the medical field getting kind of burned out these days. Sorry to hear that. But glad you got an exit strategy. Carl, how's it going? Yeah, KJ Waggy. More people seeking, you know, freedom. You know, this, you know, I feel I'm happy, and some of this is ego, but you know, I made that American Dream video how many years ago? You know, and it's good to see more and more people being like, that dude was right. The American Dream is dead, or less people want to chase after it. You know. Okay, we're gonna remove it. By the way, folks, I forget to mention this sometimes. No political talk, please. We don't do politics in this chat, so you know, if I see them, I'm gonna remove the politics talk, because not every, like, that's one area where like if people disagree, the chat gets nasty quick. That's why. Like I'm not trying to stifle anybody's views, but like that's an area where the chat goes left or right real quick, and it gets nasty. So not here, please. We should build a rent-free apartment building. I feel like there's some. I'm happy with the affordable apartment building. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the issue with that would be uh, there's gonna be bills. So like who's gonna pay them? That's what I'm saying. Like I don't mind. Like I would like if you had an apartment and it was like affordable, I don't mind paying my little rent. You know, it's just that like like my last apartment, just the amount of rent I was paying for where the apartment was and what the apartment was, I just didn't. You know, when I've had apartments or I've stayed in people's houses and the rent was affordable. Like when I rented a room in Montana and it was what was it, 450 a month plus utilities, so I would just give them 500. I didn't mind that at all. I never minded paying rent. Like I was giving them extra. Like utilities were like 20 bucks, but I would give them 500. I'd be like, all right, just in case you got to buy toilet paper or whatever for the house, paper towels, whatever. But yeah, 500 bucks a month, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. It's just when you start having to pay thousands of dollars for an apartment and not the best area, and you know what I mean, and it doesn't even have central air conditioning, and you're in there sweating, uh, and they don't turn the furnace on so you can run the heat until November, you know, that's when I start having a problem with it. Alvin, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super Chat Squad, thank you so much. Thank you for the continued support. Today, Tim, you mentioned last time about becoming a security guard. Are you reconsidering it? It is all about observing and reporting. I'm joking about becoming a security guard. I don't think I ever would, and that's not a knock on being a security guard. When I was younger, I always used to look into it. I'm surprised I never did it. Just right now, I just don't think it's the job for me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just don't. When I go back to work, it's gonna be something. I don't know. I just don't think that would be my lane currently, respectfully. Um, if I was younger, maybe. There's a lot of jobs that if I was younger, I was like, man, might get into that. But now at like 45, I just don't know. Retired 2019, how you doing? Manuel, you got $3,000 worth of monthly bills? Oof, I feel you. Yeah, Carmen, it's commendable you're working on the debt, and it's totally understandable. You like, you know what? Should I spend this money here? But I think sometimes you got to. Sometimes, like, if you working and can't spend any money on yourself or enjoy yourself at all, what's the point? You know what I mean? I would rather you have a little debt and be happy than be debt free and miserable. You know what I mean? So like, there's nothing that says you can't enjoy the process of becoming debt free. So you don't need to be miserable. I know live like no one else so you can live like no one else later, whatever. But like you don't need to be miserable becoming debt free. Because what happens a lot of times is people get so rigid and so strained and like so just dialed into like getting rid of the debt, and they allow themselves no fun, no joy. They're not seeing any rewards from the work they do. They get burnt out and they just go back into debt. They quit. We're good at doing that. We'll be working on something and we'll get so wrapped up in it, and we just like our lives become joyless, and we're like, I gotta do this, and then one day we're just over it because we're like, we need an outlet, we need joy, we need happiness. If you gotta spend a little money every now and then to do something, but overall, if the debt is going down, it's okay. I feel like this is just my opinion. I'm just a weird guy on the internet, but I think it's okay if you spend a little money as long as like overall you're paying the debt off. I think about this as like, say it takes you 5 years, you got a 5-year plan. If it takes you 5 years and 2 months, but you enjoyed yourself over the 5 years occasionally spending a little money, I don't think you're gonna care, right? I don't think when you get to 5 years and you got 2 more months left, you're gonna be like, I shouldn't have taken that vacation in 2025. No, you're gonna be like, bro, I got 2 months left, yes. Hang on 1 second. We gotta block with love. I respect everybody's opinions, but you know, we're not gonna have the negativity here, folks. Thank y'all. Praveen, Super Chat Squad, positivity. Here's positivity. Praveen's coming through with some love. Said I'm trying to break up with my phone, but I still continue to watch your live streams even if I go smartphone free. Hey, I appreciate that, Praveen. Nothing wrong with watching on the big screen. Nothing wrong with putting us up on the flat screen TV. You know, we're in HD. I think we're in HD. Are we in HD? We're in HD, I think. I appreciate the love, Praveen. And I think, hey, if you're breaking up with your smartphone, even if that means you can't watch the streams, I know you say you're going to, but even if that means you couldn't watch the streams for a while, it's worth it. You know, breaking up with your phone, getting rid of the doom scrolling, you know. But I appreciate the love, and that's awesome, Praveen. Let us know how that goes when you can come back on. What up, Khadija? Yeah, I mean, I think if we had affordable housing, we probably wouldn't need as much like public housing. You know, like a lot. The thing is, we create a society that creates poverty, right? So then we have to have like food stamps and welfare and, you know, public house. We have like, we've created a society where we've made it impossible for a large number of people to make it. So we have to like help them make it. Whereas back in the day, they didn't have none of that because all you had to do was just go out and like fend for yourself. And if you were down, your community helped, right? But we broke up the community, we broke up the family. We came up with this thing called property, you know, ownership. So you can't just go out and make a house if you need one. You can't just, you know, pull food off a tree if you see food. You know, it's owned by somebody. That's somebody else's land. So now, since we've created that, we came up with money and that brought in poverty. Now we have to help the people, which is commendable. Now we have to help the people who are in poverty, but the system itself is creating the poverty. That's why it never goes away. That's why, like, you never get rid of, I mean, you can get rid of stuff, but like, you don't get rid of the problem. I think it's commendable. We have social programs that help people, but like, it would be a lot better if we got rid of the stuff that's like causing people to be in those situations. But we don't do that. Anyway, where are we at in the comments? I keep losing my place in the chat. Yeah, the economy thrives on debt, which is crazy, which makes people poorer. Hey, you're welcome, Carmen. Thanks for sharing. Who are my best content creators? You mean who are the content creators I watch the most? These days it's gameplay streamers. It's like gamers. I watch a lot of gamers. Yeah. I love when people say rapid fire. Like I'm not gonna you can't make me answer something rapid fire. That's why I always laugh. People like, right now, go. I'm like, I'll answer it in whatever pace I want to answer it, respectfully. I don't really have any places that I'm like I love Denver, so I'm here. If Bozeman wasn't as expensive, I'd probably be living in Bozeman too. That's about the only answer I got for that. And I've only been to 3 countries, so I've got a lot of work to do in that department to go around the world and see other countries, and maybe I might find one where I'm like, I want to stay here, you know? What up, Nick? Struggled with credit card debt for the past 2.5 years, 10K, but I've been able to travel all over the US. Never regret those trips I make, all in the pursuit of freedom. Let's go. Love that, Nick. Love that. Love that. I'll be happy for the day where you're like, that 10K's gone. Happy for the day you get rid of the 10K. There went my screen. Going dark again. It's all good though. We can still see. If y'all see me squinting, it's because my screen went dark. I think it goes in like power saver mode or something. I may have to plug it in here in a minute, so it might get a little windy, but we'll see. Oh boy, credit score. That's another way to get you. So, and I respect it, you know, I get it. But so often we make decisions in life based around like our credit score. And, you know, it's something we never asked for. It's another way, if you think about it, it's another way they hold you down. We never asked for a credit score, right? It's just something they came up with one day. They started offering credit, and then they was like, oh, let's come up with a thing called credit score to hold people down even further. Because we can say, hey, if your credit score is not good enough, we won't let you get anything that you need to finance. And so now we have to make important life decisions. You can make important life decisions based around what it'll do to your credit score. I just went the opposite direction. I don't care. But then I don't want nothing. So they ain't got nothing to finance me, except maybe a car in the future, and I'll just have to pay a higher interest rate, whatever. Y'all not getting me. Nope, but I get it, so often we gotta, and people think like credit is their friend. Credit's there to help. Debt is good. And I'm like, bro, you don't see what they're doing with the debt and the credit score? Like, come on. You literally want to do this, but you can't do it because of your credit score. You're worried about your credit score. And you didn't ask for it. They just gave it to you and then said, oh, it better be high enough or it's a problem. No one sees how crazy that is. Like, that's like, yo, that's crazy, people. That's crazy, but I get it. Someone said every society has poverty. I don't think there's poverty without money. I don't think there's poverty without money. Think about it. Before there was money, like you can't have. Before there was money, there was just instances where there was a lack of resources. So you just had to find resources. Before there was money and before things cost something, you just had to find resources. Right? Think about it. And if I'm wrong on this, correct me. But like there was no poverty before you create money. There was just lack occasionally. Hey, how's it going, Chris? Thank you. Super Chat Squad, that's love. Thank you. Appreciate the love. There was just lack of resources. And you just had to find resources. And before we came up with money and ownership and all that, you just went out and found the resources. Like you might be hungry, you might be cold, right? You might need to find shelter, but nobody was poor, right? Poverty came along when they came up with the concept of money. Because then, like, if you didn't have money, you can't get nothing. So that's why you're poor. But before, yeah, you were just hungry. You were just cold. You were just outside. You just had to find some food, find some clothes. You know what I mean? Money created poverty. Think about that. I've been thinking about that recently. I'm like, wait a second. You can't be poor unless there's a barometer to measure poor, which is money. Diamante said, I'm leaving the U.S. I don't care about credit score. Facts. Do it. Hey, Alvin, yeah, these flat caps, let's bring the flat cap back. Praveen, you're thinking about going to Southwest Canada? Okay, all right. Well, why Canada? I'm joking. Sorry, Canadians. Crocodile said, family and friends try to shame me, but they can't. I did the so-called right thing for 40 years, got played. More and more people come to that realization. Just like, wait a second. I mean, you did your time. Croc, you did your time. 40 years? Nah. And see, like, now you wise now. You hip to the game now. He's like, I'm not doing it. And like people's ridicule means nothing when you know. That's what I think is a beautiful thing. Getting older, getting wiser. Like when people's ridicule means nothing. It's like, nah, I did it. I lived it. It didn't work. They played me. They got me. They're not getting me no more though. Like, it's fine if you get me. You ain't getting me no more though. Yeah, credit scores are a recent thing, doctor, and it's ruining people's lives. Hey, Brand, I appreciate that. Thank you. Blessings to you as well. Oh, you like the video on jobs, Chris? Awesome. Do they actually garnish people's wages for credit card debt? I know a lot of people with a lot of debt, and ain't none of them said their wages got garnished. Like, I don't know what country you live in or wherever, but all I know is I know a lot of people with a lot of debt, and they ain't getting their wages garnished. I feel like they give you a lot of leeway. before they start doing that. But I mean, I don't know. Make financial decisions based on what's right for you, not what some guy in a flat cap says on the internet. Oh, by the way, people, someone had mentioned a couple of different times Robin Greenfield, and I had been following his content years ago when I first started on this journey, and I tapped back in with him the other day and was watching some of his content. So I wanted to just bring that up and say, yeah, I'm back watching your boy Robin. Hadn't seen him in a minute, but it's good. And now YouTube's recommending his content like crazy. I'm like, does YouTube do that about my videos to other people? When they watch one, then it shows them 500. Yeah, tap back in with old Robin with no net worth, living that no net worth life. Try to shame you back into being sheep. Oh, that's a good title. Don't let them shame you into being a sheep. That's a good title. If I remember that, I'm using that one. What up, Snow? Yeah, Praveen, they'll over unpaid taxes. Yeah, they'll come for you. We're not talking about taxes. I'm talking about credit. We're talking about debt. But taxes, they coming for you. Yeah. Always pay your taxes. Like I always say, I don't mind paying taxes. I just finished paying my taxes. It was a hefty check, but I don't mind paying it because it gives us parks and roads and police and fire, and all kind of airports. I think our taxes pay for airports, and I love the airport. So yeah, pay your taxes. Yes, no, somebody already told me about the typo. I appreciate people doing that. There's literally nothing I can do about it right now, but I appreciate people letting me know that I made a mistake. It's very humbling. Amy said, "I've heard that, but with my luck, they probably would." Someone told me years ago, um, and this was back when I was younger and I wasn't as up on like paying my bills and stuff. They were like, "You'll know when they're coming for you. They'll send you all kinds of letters and collection stuff and all that. Pay this. They might call, but you'll know when they're coming because you'll get that real letter. They have a bag of tricks that they do to try to get you to pay some money, but when they're actually coming for you, you'll know. You'll know. It'll be worded totally different. You know what I mean? Like you'll know when they're coming for you, and that's when you slide them a few dollars. I just think there's a lot of, and once again, this is not financial advice, but I know for a fact that there's a lot of that credit card companies are willing to work with you, and there's a lot of like, and you may know a lot of this. There's different strategies you can employ to get the debt down. Sometimes they'll take less money if I'm going to pay it quicker. Like there's strategies, a lot more than you realized. Because over the years I've done some research on it, but like there's lots of strategies, especially when you get close to paying it off. Hey, I know I owe $1,000. How about I give y'all 400? How about wait a couple months, don't pay it, then call them up and be like, hey, how about I give y'all $400 right now and we just call this thing even? You know what I mean? Like their strategies. I almost feel like the people who don't pay and then later down the line try to get it taken care of come out ahead, come out better than the people who pay faithfully normally. Like y'all know me, I'm a contrarian, so never do anything like everybody else does it. That's numero uno for the kid in a lot of ways. But I found that like a lot of times in life, if you do what they say don't do and you do it differently, you come out better than the people who just do it the way they say do it. Just faithfully pay on their credit cards, 10 years, get rid of it. Somebody doesn't pay for 3 years, and then they pay just very little. They're always late, and then they come with some kind of like settlement offer or something, and the credit card company say, you know what, whatever. We tired of dealing with these people. Whatever, I don't know. I'm always looking for alternative ways to do things. But that's just me. Yeah, Rose, I don't like to say some debt is good debt. I like to say some purchases are good purchases. Your car, in your example, was a good purchase. You just happen to have to finance it. The debt necessarily wasn't good. The purchase was good. You know, like we can change the way we word things. Words are very powerful. If we go around saying some debt is good debt, we're giving power to debt. But if we're just like, hey, some purchases are good purchases, and on occasion I had to go into debt to do it, okay. But I don't this is just me personally. Um, just saying, you know, good debt, bad debt. Like debt is like the slave is borrower to the lender. If possible, I would love to pay cash for everything and never owe anybody. But it's like if I do have to do that, well, I'm glad the option was there to get what I needed, but it's not about the debt being good. It's about I needed a car. I needed a house or whatever. You know, that's the way I look at it. I just don't. Sometimes debt is a necessary evil, but it's still debt. You know, in my opinion. You know me. I have weird views. You can make money right away starting your first YouTube video. I have not heard that, Alvin. I'm not really up on a lot of the new YouTube stuff, so I I I, I haven't heard that. But if that previously wasn't the case, but maybe I don't know. Why just why? I don't know. If they got your name spelled wrong, I don't know if you still owe it. You'd have to contact an attorney. I don't know about that one. I do know, and this might have changed, but I do know medical bills used to drop off your credit after 7 years. Um, but these days I pay my medical bills. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Oh, Amy, you tried all that? They refuse to do it. See, you because you probably pay consistently. hmm I can tell, Amy, you pay. You on top of it. I hate to use the term responsible, but like you on top of it. They look at you like, no, we're not gonna we're not gonna help her. They know you're gonna pay. This is the thing. I feel like the credit card company, exactly. Yeah, I just read your next comment. If they know you pay on time consistently, why are they gonna help you? Because they know you're gonna pay. It's the people who rock the boat. What is it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil or the grease. I don't know. But you know what I mean? It's the people who don't pay and mess around. They get all the breaks. If they've seen every month for the past 5 years you've paid, they're not going. Why are they going to help you? They know you're going to keep paying. You know. I'm telling y'all this. This contrarian view. Maybe some of us are a bit extreme with it, but like there's some benefits to it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Someone mentioned if I've learned, someone mentioned the stock market. If I've learned one thing, and I don't know much, but we always think it's the best ever. It's gonna keep going up, and then when it crashes or goes down, we're like, oh, it's done. I thought this in 2020. I thought it was done. I took these videos down, but I had videos like, get your money out of the stock market. It's over. It can't not that extreme, but I was basically saying the stock market is done. And look what happened. It came back bigger than ever. So I don't know. You trying to like 100% like predict the stock market is impossible to do. It's always been impossible. So um, who knows? That's why like I just invest in the companies I invest in, and like I don't try to figure out the overall market. You know? Yeah, the numbers are doing good today, Praveen. Crystal, I do have a second channel. Yes, actually got 3 channels total. I don't know, Croc. I'm not gonna leave here owing nobody nothing. Respectfully, some people hate, and that's cool. I'm not gonna leave here owing nobody nothing. You know what I mean? Nah, that's the plan at least. I'm not gonna owe nobody nothing. Like, nah. They gonna be harassing my nephews for money. I'm gonna leave here. I'm gonna die with zero. I'm gonna either leave a few dollars to somebody, or I'm gonna die with zero. We ain't dying negative. Nah. Hopefully. Hopefully. But I respect your opinion. Don't stress it no more. you know? Up, see, I knew it. I knew it. Amy got a good credit score. The credit card companies love people with a good credit score. Oh, they love it because you don't want to mess that up. They don't like people like me with about a 500. They know I don't care. I mean, I am kind of joking because I do have one credit card that's mainly for travel, and I do pay all the time. Like I don't like I literally made myself. I'm making myself not pay it off. I used to put something on a credit card, pay it off. I'm making myself pay the minimum payment and then a couple days later pay it off, just so it'll show that like I had that I used the credit card and it posted a balance. Because it's no point if it doesn't show you post a balance. So I'm definitely one of those people who like, yeah, my little bitty credit card I finally got for travel, it would carry like a zero balance at pretty much all times, left up to me. But I'm trying to do a little better with credit. Because I think it'll be funny, because all the people who laughed at me and poked fun at me for so many years because I didn't have credit cards, and they're like, you're not going to be able to buy anything and you're not blah 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 blah. I think it's going to be funny when I have a better credit score than them one day. But I don't care. Like I don't care. Like if one day I woke up and was like, screw this, like I'm gone, I don't care. But I do think it's funny that in general that's one of the things that motivates me in life, and maybe there's some ego there, but I want to show that not only can you survive doing things the way you want to do them, you can also thrive. So when you've had people telling you for 10 years that you're going to end up homeless, living in a box, and all this other bad stuff's going to happen to you because you're not doing it the right way, I think it's funny to ultimately come out in a position that they'll be like, wow, okay, you know, you can do things the way you want to do it. My precious, me personally, I just don't tie into the politics. I have no clue what's going on. I was downtown yesterday and there was about to be like a political rally. I ran back home. I'm not doing this. I just don't get involved. So that's how I can continue with my life and not get wrapped up in it. I'm blessed to like not spend a lot of time around a lot of people and I have to hear people talking about it. I just don't know. I mean, I focus on this too. One of the reasons I like being a studier of history, this has happened nonstop since the beginning of humanity. You know what I mean? So there's times where there's political strife and turmoil. There's times when it's a little better. If this is one of those times, it's just the hand we got dealt. And we like, all throughout history, like the people during World War II didn't want to live through World War II, but they had to, you know? The people who lived through Vietnam, did not ask for that. That was the hand they were dealt. So I look at it that way. It's like whatever hand I'm dealt, whatever ends up happening politically or going on or whatever, I just, that was the hand I was dealt. I got to play it. So I just don't worry too much about it until it happens. Because a lot of the stuff blows over, A lot of the stuff fixes itself. It blows over. The stuff that doesn't, well, I'll deal with it when it comes knocking at my door. But like, I can't. That's why I do things like come sit in the park. It's a beautiful day. The sun's still shining. The grass still green. The trees are starting to bloom again. This too has been happening since the beginning of time and will continue to happen, despite what happens in Washington, D.C. or at number 10 Downing Street. You know what I mean? So like, I try to embrace that. I try to embrace that side of life and the politics and all this human stuff. When it affects me and I deal with it, but I try to stay in tune with the divine and like nature. Like, that's where I put my focus. And it seems to work, it's worked for me. Oh, I knew Jan had to chime in. We talk about the stock market. Here we go. Always like your wisdom nuggets, by the way, Jan. Everybody dropping the credit score in the chat. Okay. Some of y'all lying. I'm joking. Some of y'all lying. So my credit score is 725. Some of y'all lying. I'm joking. I'm joking. Y'all got good credit. Y'all good. All good. Okay, we got a couple 600s. Okay. All right. Nomadic, how you doing? You used to have an 800, Candace, and something happened. You don't even know what. It's back to 600. That's them playing games with your credit score. Here's the thing. When they come up with credit score, they can manipulate it how they want to because they came up with it. Like they make the rules. Like when you make the game, you make the rules. You know, if I invent a sport and I want to make something a foul, it's a foul. I didn't know that was a foul. I just made it one. But it's my, you know what I mean? Like when they, like I made the rules. So like they make the rules. They came up with credit and credit score, so they make the rules. If they want to turn your 800 into a 600, they can. Like who do you talk to? They're like, well, that's just the way it works now. Your 800 is a 600. Sorry to hear that, by the way. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's what they do. Do I know how to slow down and seize the moment? Praveen, I think I'm learning to do a better job at that. Yes. Yes. And it's not something I think you can just say, oh, this is how you do it. I think it's time, practice. You have to prioritize slowing down and seizing the moment for enough time that you start slowing down and seizing the moment. If that made any sense. Nomadic said, my uncle was at D-Day. He did the best he could, never talked about what happened. Our family just moved on from that and supported one another. I mean, I think that's life. You do what you're called upon to do. You do the best you can do. If you make it back home, or you make it through whatever you're going through, you just continue with your life. And I think, if that's what's on the horizon for us, that's what we're going to have to do, and I don't say that hoping for any, you know what I mean? But it's just like, I can't control what happens in the world. I can control what I do. So until the day comes where I can't, do things like this right here and enjoy my life in this manner, I'm going to do stuff like this. It's and this kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier is sometimes we're so worried about like doing the responsible thing for our future that we neglect our present. So many people, they're so worried, understandably, but get so worried and wrapped up about what they're going to do in the future that they don't live in the present. The same thing happens, like, yeah, when we're looking at, politics or things going on the world stage. We just get so wrapped up about where this might end that we forget to enjoy, if what you're saying it comes true, we're not allowing ourselves to enjoy maybe the last couple of fun years we have before we go through something. That's why when people are like, oh man, World War III's coming. I'm like, well, if World War III's coming in a couple years, shouldn't you be enjoying these years to the fullest? You gonna sit around and just allow the thought of maybe World War III coming to ruin the years before it? I don't think World War III's coming, but I'm just saying, we do that a lot. It's like, we get so worried about what might happen that we can't live now. And I'm like, well, shouldn't you really be living now if that's about to happen? It's probably not going to happen. But if it does, like, well, I'm definitely going all in now. That's what I understand. I'm like, if you think World War III is about to happen, why are you still worried about work and credit score and all this other stuff? Go take a vacation. It's not going to matter. If the world goes to war, it's not going to matter. We're not going to be talking about credit score. I promise you. Once again, I'm not saying we're going to go to war. But if we did, we're not going to be talking about credit score. Now, I'm going to still be sitting here preaching positivity, and I'm going to do my part to try to help us all through this. And I know y'all going to help me through it. But I'm like, if you really that worried about what's going to happen in the future, why are you still doing the stuff you don't want to do now? If it's over, get up there and do the crazy stuff. It won't matter. I don't know. Nija, I don't have a niche. You don't need a niche. Like this is a good example of like, and this isn't coming at you, but that's a good example of like conventional wisdom that means nothing. People are like, you gotta have a niche. Why? I just make the videos I want to make. Like, why do I have to have a niche? Like, but like you have to. Why? There's not a section on YouTube before they send you your check that's like, what niche are you in? You know what I mean? Like, you just make the videos you want to make. Like, I don't, you know, especially these days with the TikTokification of the internet, where it's less about followers and more about like the algorithm used to send your stuff to your followers, your subscribers. Now it sends it to anybody they think might be interested. So if I make a video about the WNBA tomorrow, they're going to send it to people who like the WNBA. If I make a video about starting over in life the next day, they're going to send that to people who they think watch videos about starting over in life. And then if the people they send that to watch either of those videos, then they'll send them more of my stuff, but probably the stuff along the same line. Yeah, the algorithm doesn't care anymore. Yeah, or it cares a lot less than it used to. It's just trying to put content in front of people who watch it. Yeah, if you can make people who are enslaved think they're free, they'll stay slaves forever. Once people know they're enslaved, they try to get up out of there. Some of them, but if you let them think they're free, oh man, they'll stay there forever, and they'll keep the other people in line. Yeah, Dr. X, just enjoy life right now. If it's gonna go down, and not to mention, especially those of us who got a little age on us finally, they've been saying the same stuff forever. Now, sometimes, like even in better times, they were saying the same stuff. The doom and gloom messaging never changes. The economy's always horrible, you know, or it's the best ever. There's only two. It's either horrible or the best ever. You know, the world's ending. It's always the same thing. You know, I will be surprised when the world actually does end. I'm like, wow, it actually happened this time. Okay, all right. Ain't gotta pay rent no more. Hey, Odin, I definitely think that's a way. I wouldn't say it's the only way though. I don't think it's the only way. I respect your opinion. Respect you giving out that game. It is a way. Um, but I don't think it's the only way. An 8-year-old video. Yeah, yeah. Oh, YouTube's good for doing that. They'll pull up an old video and slap it in front of people because they know like people haven't seen it. You know, trust me. I'm pretty sure the algorithm is smart enough to do the numbers. Oh, this person's been followed. You know, like yeah, they. Oh, nomadic. You'll be traveling with your e-bike and camping gear. Oh, nice, nice. Bones, yeah, man. The doom and gloom. You know, sometimes you just got to get outside and unplug from your devices and just enjoy a sunny day. Like, I mean, because it compounds. That's the problem. It's like interest. Like you know how like compounding interest is like the eighth wonder of the world, they say, or whatever. Compounding doom and gloom works the same in the opposite. Like you get worried about this, and then you're worried about that, and then that makes you look into this, and then you worry about that, and if this happens and that, and before you know it, you're like buried under just like the doom, the gloom. Like you can't see the sun because there's just so much darkness. That's why I don't engage in it. I just pay no attention. If something happens that like warrants my attention, I'll know. Trust me. If something bad happens that I need to know about, I will know about it because it will be happening. You know, I just can't get wrapped up in it. You know, I don't like it when I'll be talking to someone and they tell me about something. I'm like, bro, leave me out of it. Leave me out of it. Tria, for the record, you don't have to say honestly. At the end of something, I always answer honestly. I think marriage is a great institution for people who want to get married, for people who are happily married. I personally don't see the point. You know what I mean? Like, and I've said recently, if I met someone and she just had this, for some reason, maybe just deep-seated family tradition or religion or something, just had to get married, and we were together for a while, and like that meant was very important to her, I might consider it. But left to my own devices, if I meet someone and she's like, I don't need to get married either, I'm not trying to get married. I just don't see the point. I don't see the point. I'm not having kids either. Inner city hoops. No, there's no budget on that one. But would I date someone if she had well-behaved kids or a well-behaved kid? Yeah, yeah. But having my own, no. Because if it's not my kid, I give back to his parents. We might play basketball in the yard for an hour. Now you got to go to your dad's house. I'm not dealing with you. No, I'm joking. But no, I don't want kids. But marriage, yeah. I mean, it's once again, I'm not one of these people who is like anti-marriage. I'm not anti-kids, anti-natalism or whatever. I don't care what you do. I know a lot of people with kids, then that's their life. I know a lot of people who are married, and that's their life. Do what you do. I just don't see the point, or I don't want to do them, so I don't do them. That's as far as it goes with me. I don't judge what other people do. Jay Smooth, yes, I used to like when I first, which years ago, first started getting interested in investing and stuff. I came in through like the gold and silver precious metals kind of community. And honestly, if I wasn't a nomad, I would probably invest a lot more, or I would invest in gold and silver. I just can't do it now because I got nowhere to put it, you know? So honestly, but yeah, if I was stationary, oh yeah, I'd be, especially now, I think I'd be pretty heavy. I feel like, like I can invest in like, dividend stocks because like it's not physical, but if I could, so I don't carry it with me. But if I was stationary and had like an apartment, yeah, I probably would. A decent amount of my portfolio would probably be in precious metals. Yeah. Probably like 40% or something. Yeah. 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 Big believer in precious metals. Jack, I'm in Denver. I've been here a minute. And the reason I stay in Denver because it is beautiful. Yeah. Weather's great. Like it literally snowed yesterday, a day before yesterday, and now like look, it's melted, sun's out, 60 degrees. So yeah, I'm in Denver. Oh, cool. Respect, inner city respect. Do I think housing should be free? I think I wish we could go back to the days where you just like went out in the woods and built a house, like, or you killed enough animals that you could sew the skins together and have a house, like a teepee, whatever, wigwam, whatever. I just think we should go back to that. Like it's weird because we created this society, and then like in the society we created, you can't be like everybody gets a free house because we came up with money, we came up with ownership. Who would pay for everybody's free house? Unless like the government did it with taxes. But then it's not free, you're still paying for it. So it's hard to answer questions like that in the society we've created. But like I wish we could just go back to village life and things of that nature. That's what I'm trying to do. Treasure, I stay, sometimes I'll stay somewhere for a week, sometimes I'll stay for a month. I'll be honest, the reason I usually stay somewhere monthly is because the Airbnbs usually get a discount if you stay for the month. There's like a weekly discount, and then there's like a monthly discount that a lot of hosts provide. So if I'm gonna stay longer than a week, it makes sense to stay for the month. Not to mention, like, if I don't have nowhere to go, like I've been in Denver for a while because I don't have nowhere to go. Like there's places I could go, and there's like places I'm gonna go. But like wintertime, anywhere I kind of really wanted to go, it was winter, and I didn't want to. So, but yeah, I find a month just because like the discounts you get, and it allows you to like be in the place long enough to kind of learn it. I find like for me, like a month is good. Some places. Super Chat Squad, thank you. Goats no answer. Thank you. Super Chat Squad, thank you. Goat says you can buy gold as if it were a stock, GDL, ETF, or CEF, which is Gold and Silver Trust. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I personally believe in like physical metals. So if I'm gonna go paper, I'm just gonna do, my dividend stocks. If I'm gonna go precious metals, I'm gonna go physical. So that's just me. Yeah, I totally understand. There's GLD, all of that. SLV, is it SLV? I understand, but I just, to me, that kind of defeats the purpose of being in metals if I don't have it physically. So yeah, I like going down there to the coin shop and trading in, you know, a tube of silver rounds and getting my whatever that would go for these days. I enjoy doing it. I've done that many times in the past, because in the past, like I remember there was a time like pretty much my whole savings was in silver, you know. And it was crazy because I had my apartment at the time. This is when I lived in Florida 20 years ago. And I was buying comic books in silver. That was it. So like all my savings was in silver. And when I would go to my girlfriend's house on the weekend, I would have to take it with me. Because I was like, I don't care if they break in my house and steal stuff, but I'm like, they're not stealing my silver. So I had this box that was like chock full of silver that I had to take with me to my, I don't even think I told her. Like, nobody knew. But I had like, you know, a decent amount of silver in this box that was like in the bottom of my backpack that I took to my girlfriend's house on the weekend. It was funny. I should have been going gold because it would have been a lot smaller, not as heavy. But I still to this day say that, like, if the big move comes in silver, that's where the money's gonna be made. You know, gold is already pretty expensive, pricey, but like silver is way underpriced, way undervalued in my opinion. So if the move ever comes, I think, like, you know, there's no reason silver couldn't be half of what gold is per ounce. People would pay it, I think. Luke Cage, thank you. Super Chat Squad. My boy Luke Cage coming through with the love. Thank you. Says, what is your best motivation and advice for being a minimalist? And how do I mentally motivate myself to get rid of things? I'll say this, Luke. I'll start with your second question first. If you're not already motivated to get rid of stuff, I don't know if you need to force yourself to. I feel like minimalism is one of those things that, like you want to do it. You look and you're like, okay, I got too much stuff. Now, if you look and you're like, okay, I got too much stuff, I need to get rid of some of it, but you can't get motivated, okay. But I feel like minimalism, because like you could declutter and not be a minimalist, right? You could just be like, okay, I want to get rid of a few things, I got too much. You do a little downsizing, a little decluttering, you may not classify yourself as a minimalist. I think as a minimalist, like, you want to, like, man, I need less stuff. I want to live minimally. You know, I want to have very little, or just have just enough, maybe a little more for funsies. So I feel like the motivation should kind of already be there. But like I said, if you've just identified, okay, maybe I got too much, you know, maybe I got a little too much stuff and I need to get rid of some. I personally, that's always a interesting thing of, like, how do I motivate myself to do something? Because, like, you have to motivate yourself to do the thing to motivate yourself, right? So I think it's just like, you just have to make yourself do it. I've identified I need to get rid of some of this stuff. And I'm thinking maybe I might could, you know, hop on this minimalism train. I think you just got to make yourself start. That's why I recommend starting small, your junk drawer, your garage, that closet nobody opens, because whenever they do, stuff falls all on the floor. Nobody wants to clean it up. Start small. Find a small space and just get rid of, go through it. The stuff you haven't used in 7 years, the stuff you're never going to use, the stuff that if you do need it, you can go down to the Walmart and buy it for $3. Get rid of it, donate it, sell it, throw it in the trash, you know? And I think when you do that, you will notice how good it feels. You'll forget you did it, and you'll go to open that drawer and there's nothing in it. You're like, wow. You'll go open that closet and subconsciously you'll be dreading it. But you'll go open the closet and suddenly it's clean. You're like, oh, we did clean that's my biggest motivation to answer your first question, is just that feeling of lightness that you get once you've done it. Once you start downsizing, once you start decluttering, once you go minimal, it's that feeling of just like lightness and freedom you get, and you want to keep doing it. So like in the beginning, if you haven't done it, all you can do is hear other people talk about it. But I'm here to tell you, like, once you do it and you experience that, bruh, it's the best. You'll want more of it. You know, man, let me get rid of some more of this stuff. So that's like my biggest motivation. And my advice is there's no rules, there's no set number of possessions. Just get rid of the stuff that you feel is extra that you don't need. um and beyond that, like, don't listen to anybody. You can only have 3 pairs of socks and 2 pairs of underwear and 5 shirts, and they all got to be black. You don't have to listen to none of that. um it's really just about getting rid of the excess in your life, and getting down to that level that feels right for you. Thank you, Luke. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully that was helpful. Praveen, thank you. Super Chat Squad coming through, showing love yet again. Thank you, Praveen Senior. Back with the normal name. Hey, we got Chewy coming through. Chewy, thank you. Super Chat Squad. That is love. That is love. Said, are you in your 40s? Yes, I am. You're one handsome son of a gun. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna drink some water on that note. Okay, hydration. That's how you stay looking handsome. That's how you stay a handsome son of a gun, kids. Lots of water. Lots of water. Occasional kombucha. Chewy, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm 45. 45. And we got Free Like Summer. Super Chat Squad. Thank you. That's love. That's love. Said the silver squeeze is coming, baby. Yeah, man. I'll tell you, like, that is one, I won't say regret, one sacrifice I've had to make is I can't invest in physical silver on the road like I want to. Like right now, I would be heavy in my precious metals bag. I think this is a great scenario for metals. But I just, I had to give that up to live the life I'm living right now. So, but I do think about that. Like, it's weird. Like, the alternatives go through my head. I was literally sitting at the library the other day, and I was on my laptop, and I was playing my little trading card game shop simulator, and I was just having a time. And I was like, Tim, you could just stay in Denver and do this. Get you a little job somewhere and just do this. You don't have to deal with all the pressures of being on the road all the time. And for a moment there, you think about it, and then I was just like, it's just not what what I mean? Like, that day will come one day if it's meant to. I'm like, I just don't think we're there yet. It's just not. We're just not there yet. We got more trails to blaze. I've only been to 3 countries. We got to change that. I haven't been to the East Coast since I was 5. We got to change that. The Northeast. So, it just, there are some things that I'm like, just how people who like have kids and love their kids sometimes look at me and be like, man, it must be nice not to have to deal with these kids, but they wouldn't trade having their kids. Some people would, but you know what I mean? So it's like, I wouldn't trade my life, but there are times when I'm like, man, if I could, and yeah, like Free Like Summer, I know there are alternatives. Like, if I really wanted to figure out a way to do it, but it's just like, it's not, nah. I try not to have FOMO. So if it's meant for me to make a killing off precious metals, I will when it's time. But yeah, I just not, I mean, like, even with like trading cards, I love collecting trading cards and investing in them. And who's the big one? No, I'm drawing a blank. Wow, Tim, that's horrible. What's the big trading card grading company? They have the vault. Anyway, they have a vault. So you just buy the card. You can buy it from them, and they'll put it in the vault, or you can buy it and send it to the vault. And yeah, I could do that, but I'm like, no, if it's not time, I kind of don't want to mix. When it's time for that, it's time for that. Good morning, Loretta. Oh, Loretta said, I feel like I'm holding myself back. Yeah, and that's how it starts, Loretta. You start thinking about it, then you start thinking about it more. Then you start thinking about it more, and then you get to that point where you're like, wait a second, I think I'm holding myself back. And like, when you get to a point where, like, you can't lie to yourself, and so when a realization comes through, it's there, and that day when it hits you, and like, yeah, it's me. I'm just holding myself back. That's when you start being like, all right, I gotta do this, because you can't look yourself in the mirror no more. When you can't look yourself in the mirror anymore, that's when it's like, man, I got, because there's no better feeling than like doing something for you that maybe you were afraid to do or whatever. Then you actually do it, Cause and looking at yourself in the mirror after you've done it, and that feeling of just like, bro, like I thought about this, I was nervous about this, I went back and forth, screw it, I just did it. Cause then like not only is that very like empowering to you, like when it's just you looking at you in the mirror, but also in the rest of our life when we dealing with other people, it's like, no, 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 you can't talk to me in that manner. I just been out here doing so and so. You know what I mean? Like that's another reason I think it's being very responsible to like go after freedom and go after the life that you long for, because it does something for your confidence. Like you suddenly go from being like, oh, I just go along with whatever society has in store for me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, 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 no. I'm one of them ones. Like I'm out here living life. I'm making sacrifices. I'm doing things everybody said I shouldn't do. I'm doing things I was scared to do, but I'm doing them. You can't just tell me anything anymore. I got power. But yeah, it starts with that being like, oh man, those realizations start hitting. You're like, dang, yeah, I'm gonna have to do it now. There's stuff that happened with me. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna have to do that now. Or, sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna have to do that one day. I already know. Your future Reverend Doctor. I'm all for dating, I'm all for dating. It's just, it is a little harder when you're nomadic. And, these days, since I'm not really interested in like, somebody asked me the other day, they was like, do you meet any women through your YouTube channel? And I'm like, yeah, but like a lot of times since I'm a nomad, like we're all in different cities and I'm just not, into just kind of, casual dating or stuff like that. So it's like, it never, nothing ever really comes from it. Cause like, I know I might just show up and we might meet, but then I'm going to be gone in a week or two. So, like I'm open to it. If I met a fellow nomad, I would love to find a partner to travel with and all that. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. It's just harder to find that when you're living on the road. But if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. You know, I keep my eyes open, my ears to the train tracks. Oh, Lars, I can't look. I feel like I'm letting myself down. Working 3 jobs to pay off debt, yet at what cost? Sacrifices is real, with set personal goals. And I mean, Loretta, you do have that. It's like, okay, you are making some moves, so pat yourself on the back for that. But obviously, there's something that's saying, you know what I mean? There's something that's saying maybe there's a different way. And yeah, that's when and that's one of those things too, is like, we kind of talked about this earlier. It may, and I'm not saying this is true in your case, but it seems like there's something else part of you is wanting to do that thinks it might work out better, or bring something to your life. And it may mean not going as hard on the debt repayment, but like still doing it, but maybe doing something else in conjunction with that. And people might be like, oh, that's not responsible. You should pay all the debt off and then think about that. But like, obviously there's a part of you that's being like, I don't know, so those are the things I know for me, I'm always trying to gauge and see in my life. Close. It just told me low battery. I'm gonna try to plug my phone in. Let me know if y'all can still hear me, because I just took my microphone out and plugged my charger in, so things might have got a little wonky real quick. But yeah, like Loretta, you feel it. Urban Lady, thank you. Super Chat Squad, thank you so much. Thank you. Say, hey, you, good to see you. Good to see you. How you been? And I appreciate the love, the continued support over the years. I haven't forgotten the continued support over the years. Thank you. I'm good. Can't complain. Beautiful day. Hopefully the stream's still going okay. Hopefully people can still hear me. I'm waiting on a comment for someone to be like, we can hear you. Sound is good. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I always forget there's a delay. So by the time, well, like I ask it in my mind, I'm like, why nobody saying that? But there's a delay, so it takes a little. Yeah, it's a beautiful day out here. Yeah, it's, it's funny. I got up this morning. I wanted to live stream last night, but in the Airbnb I'm staying in, there's someone in the room next to me, and the walls are like super thin. So he would have heard me talking for 2 hours. So I couldn't, and he didn't leave. So which I didn't leave either. I'm always like, why this dude don't leave? I'm like, wait a second, Tim, you didn't leave either. What are you talking about? He has the right to be in his room just like you. So I was like, I want to get up this morning and stream, but it was like windy, and I was like, you know what, Tim, just do it. Just put it into work, bro. Sometimes you gotta, what is it? Pit W. Put it into work. That's not a good one. Sometimes you just gotta put it into work, bro. Like, so we here. Jay, I'm in Denver currently, but I live in Florida, I guess. Oh yeah, were you asking Amy that or me? Most stressful part of being a nomad when I first started? Oh, let's see. I don't know. Like I don't. Nothing sticks out as just like when I first started. Is like actually it was kind of a pretty easy transition. Um, I don't know when I first started. I mean, it was a pretty like I use seasonal work, so it was pretty easy. Like I just maybe the Greyhound bus trips, maybe the Greyhound bus, but like yeah, I mean, I just got up to went to my job, had a place to stay, food to eat, start working immediately. So yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, when I first started, the stress was coming. I was still drinking, so that was the hangovers. But that's not part of nomad life. But I don't know. I can't really. It didn't. It wasn't very stressful. I'm trying to think any stress. Like it was a lot less stressful than regular life. That's the thing. Like um, yeah, when I first started out seasonal work, I lost so much stress, so I kept doing it. Like instead of me having to pay rent and a car note and go out and get dinner every night and all this, like I went somewhere where like all I had to do was get up, work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and they gave me a place to stay and like paid my rent. Oh, okay, I will say this: the roommate situations was a little stressful sometimes. Yeah, that's right. The roommate stressful situation was a little stressful, but beyond that, like, and that's why I keep going back to seasonal work because like it just I don't have to worry about nothing. I just have to work every day. So, but yeah, I think maybe the roommate situation was a little stressful. But beyond that, we was pretty good. We was good. Praveen, you want to try the nomadic lifestyle one day? Go for it. Go for it. Rose said, have small joys in life while paying off debt: coffee, candles, flowers, meal out, friend, family chat. VG, I've got lots of stories from the Greyhound bus. A lot of them chronicled on my formerly called Frugal Travel Guru channel, but yeah, yeah, I lots of stories, but I got lots of stories from all manner of travel. I just took an Amtrak trip from Sacramento to Denver a couple months ago or a month ago, and 2 months, yeah, a couple months ago now, and that I had stories from that. So all you got is the moment in the memory. So. Hey Jay, sadly, I feel like it's getting to be like that everywhere. I was raised in the South, so I don't think I'll be back anytime soon. But I mean, sadly, everywhere I go, you're seeing, you know, more of that of the things you described, not just the South. Hey Loretta, yeah, and that's the thing. What's crazy is like we can know something, but we can also feel something else. That's one of the crazy things about like this human existence is that you can know something, but you can feel something else, and you can know the feeling might not be totally genuine, but it's still there. It's like, man, I know I need to do this for me, blah 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 blah, but I genuinely feel like, and it bothers me that I be letting my employer down. And I think it's important to embrace everything you're feeling. Because I think sometimes we try to shut one or the other out, and like that's not healthy. But to embrace, like, because a lot of people will be like, "Don't worry about your employer," blah blah blah. It's like it's easy to say that, but like if that's a feeling you're genuinely dealing with, it's important to address that. And like you said, every day you're getting closer to breaking free. You just have to work through it. You just have to go through your process. You know, you might not be able to just like, nah, done. I don't care. No, it's like, okay, it's going to take me 6 months, a year, whatever, to work through that process of getting over that. Once I'm over it, and at the same time I'm making strides over here, then it all comes together how it's supposed to come together. But I think it's important to understand and embrace all the feelings you're going through, because like we don't want to suppress nothing. Like we don't want to start on a new journey in life with suppressed feelings. It's like, nah, like, hey, this is real. This is important to me. But so is this over here. So how do we make it both work? But yeah, that's yeah, it happens like that. But you making them strides. I can tell from your comment. Have I heard about hostels in other countries that welcome travelers for low costs? You have to do short. Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard about that. Yeah, yeah. See you later, nomadic. Hey, real. So I love that part-time janitor's job. Free with my time, move my own way. Yeah. Was I scared when I stopped living a regular life? I realized, Kevin, that like I was nervous, and so I'll even say I was scared. Yeah, I'll even say I was scared because I realized that like it could go terribly wrong. But I tried, as I do now, I try not to focus on. It's just as likely, if not more likely, for it to go terribly right. Life is I think it's 80-20, 80% good stuff, 20% bad. So I was nervous. I was scared. It was very uncertain, but I needed something different. You know what I mean? And that's I always say, do it scared. There's nothing wrong with being scared. There's nothing wrong with being nervous. Just do it anyway. So I'm very grateful that 35-year-old Tim, 34, 35-year-old Tim took the steps he took so that I could live the life I live now. Um, and I think I mentioned this on here. I was meditating the other day, and a scene popped to my head of that Tim, 35 to 45, passing the torch off to me now. And it was actually kind of emotional. I actually kind of like, as I was meditating, like teared up. This is crazy. Like this is facts. This really happened. I was sitting meditating, and there was like a room in the celestial palace. And all the versions of me were in there, and that version of me passed the torch to this version of me, basically saying, hey, you got to do what you need to do now. 55-year-old Tim can look back and be like, I'm so glad 45-year-old Tim did what he had to do. And so like I think that's how I'm living my life, is just, even if I'm scared to do it, definitely if I'm scared to do it, but it seems like, hey, this is a thing to do to keep us living, keep us going, keep us moving forward, keep us free. This is what we got to do. So like I said, I'm very blessed that even though I was super scared and had no clue what I was doing back then, I'm glad I did it, and hopefully we'll keep that same energy. Oh, we're gonna keep that same energy. Jay, I understand where you're coming from, but can we keep it a little more positive, brother? Like, this isn't one of the chats where we just talk about all the negative stuff going on in the world. We try to keep it a little positive, you know. Rose, if you want to quit at the job, if you've been there a week and you already want to quit, my question would be, why stay? You know, because it's not gonna get no better. You know, it might be better to just cut your losses and start working on finding another job. Or even if you're like, okay, I'm gonna stay here till I find another one, or I stack up a few coins, but if you've only been there a week and you're already ready to go, I've been in that situation before, and I just went to him and was like, hey, this isn't the job for me, I'm leaving, so. But that's just my opinion. Hey, ML, you're welcome. You're welcome. Glad we can give you some motivation. Thanks, Sherry. Said you're a good man. I appreciate that. I mean, that's the ultimate compliment. Alfonso, another abundant day. How you doing? How you doing? Free like summer. You watched the episode of Tiny Houses? Teared up a little bit? Okay, okay. Praveen getting caught up in the chat. I love how Praveen gives us the play-by-play of how far behind he is in the chat. I ever visit the higher mountain towns in the Rockies? I mean, I was working in Estes Park all summer, so yeah, if that counts. Oh, see, finally, someone saying something positive about Airbnb. VJ said I'm looking at Airbnb monthly rates, and they're way more reasonable than I was expecting. I'd be trying to tell people. I try to tell people. And, it's utilities included, cable, I try to tell people. Some people, it'd be cheaper than their rent. Can freedom become a trap if it leads to laziness or a lack of purpose? Why would freedom lead to a laziness or a lack of purpose? I mean, I feel like it's one of those questions that we ask already with an agenda of trying to go against what we're talking about. I think very few people who are contemplating making some moves in life to get free, very few of them ever, I don't want it to lead to laziness or become a trap. No. You know what I mean? When you're enslaved, you don't think like that. You're just trying to get free. So, it just seems like asking a question like that is trying to find something negative with freedom. And I don't really see the point in answering respectfully. You know what I mean? Yeah, when you enslaved, you just trying to get free. You're not worried about I have to make sure I don't turn lazy once I get free. You know what I mean? No slave ever said, once I get off this plantation, I hope I don't get lazy. I'ma just stay. I could go to freedom. I could follow Harriet and them up to freedom, follow the North Star Underground Railroad, but I'm scared I'll get lazy if Massa ain't beat me with the whip. Yeah. Hey, Bruno, thank you. Brazil in the building, thank you. Do they give you Wi-Fi on Airbnb? Yeah. Wi-Fi is pretty standard these days. Now, all Wi-Fi is not created equally. So, I when I'm reading the reviews, I search for Wi-Fi. Sometimes I'll message and be like, hey, how strong is the Wi-Fi? They've started on Airbnb putting Wi-Fi speed as one of the, you can put it in there. When you put the Wi-Fi as an amenity, you can put that. But sometimes I'll message and just be like, hey, what's the Wi-Fi speed? But yeah, typically you get Wi-Fi, but not all Wi-Fi is created equal. So, there's Wi-Fi and then there's Wi-Fi. So, all right, VG, if I'm ever in Spokane, cool. Angela's Cleveland, thank you. Every now and then I get a good one. Hey, Urban Lady. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I like when we can have a topic and it's helpful for people and put some positivity out there into the universe, which is in stark contrast to what I think a lot of content is these days, is doom and gloom and negativity. And I'm a pause and catch my breath. I have a rant that I want to do. Coolworks.com. Amy, was it Amy? Coolworks.com is the one I use. Coolworks.com. You could probably just put in seasonal job listings, and it might seasonal job. Put in like seasonal work, season of jobs, Alaska. Cool Works will pop up. But I'm gonna do a rant because I'm so over, and I don't knock another man or woman's hustle, but I'm so over these content creators scaring people for money. I'm gonna have to just go in just one time. I'm gonna have to go in. I'm just gonna have to do it. I try not to rant too much and you know yell and scream, but it gets to me some days. Hey, what up, BW, BM, excuse me, BM. Oh, that child free and over 40 video, you can relate. Nice, nice, nice. It's always good to hear from my child free people, or my people with kids who wish they was child free. How would I not feel the FOMO that comes with not traveling? I think I would just decide that I was going to travel as much as I could. You know, if I'm like, man, I haven't. FOMO is more like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and do something because I don't want to miss out on it. I don't know if it's really, I would call it FOMO in that situation. But if I was feeling some type of way, I would just be like, well, I'm gonna prioritize travel now. Even if I can't do it a lot, I'm just gonna once a year pick a city and go there. I would just travel more if possible. I personally, yes, Kevin, think it's important to forgive people who wronged me for me. I think forgiveness is partially for that person, partially for you. There's a lot of people you forgive and you never get to tell them. So I think forgiveness is good for me. Because like as long as if you don't forgive someone, you're holding on to it. And I don't want to hold on to the wrongs that people did me my entire life. I want to forgive and let it go. I may never forget it, but it's crazy that like I've noticed once you forgive somebody for something, you don't think about it all that much anymore. There's no the emotion's gone, or the emotion is dwindling, is diminishing. Your mind likes to bring up thoughts with a lot of emotion behind them. I really starting to believe that the reason all these weird, crazy thoughts and stuff pop in our head is because the emotional response that comes with them. When we take away that response, you'll notice you don't even think about that stuff no more. Your mind doesn't care. It's like, this is boring. She don't even react no more when I bring this up. Well, I'm not bringing this up. So forgiveness, I think, is important for us. I'm just gonna forgive that person, let it go. Like it's the past. That person was probably just doing the best they could. I don't know what happened to that person to make them the type of person who does that type of thing. I'm just letting you know what I mean. Like it's already happened. The damage has been done. If we can, and there's no rush. If you can't forgive somebody, you don't have to beat yourself up for that. It may take 5 years, 10 years, but if we can get to a place where we can forgive somebody, I think it just takes a weight because you're holding on to that. Like it's literally like a weight you're carrying. When you can forgive them, you just throw it off. Like, I don't care no more. Like it's done. Like once you've forgiven them, it's over. Case closed. Drop that. You know what I mean? Like someone brings it up, you're like, yeah, I forgave him. No energy. No feeling. So, yeah, I personally feel like forgiveness is important and helpful. Nickelodeon, I insulate myself from all the stuff going on. I don't pay any attention to it. I don't know what's going on. Every now and then I'll get a little tidbit of what's going on. And I immerse myself in stuff I love to do. I'm out in nature. I'm talking to my friends on the phone. I'm playing video games. I'm watching people play video games. I just immerse myself in the things that bring me joy. Yesterday, I made myself walk from Union Station back to my Airbnb, which is like an hour, with my groceries. I bought some piping hot fried chicken. I've stopped eating fried chicken, but yesterday I wanted some fried chicken. Piping hot. It's so hot you smell it through the bag. Ooh. I walked all the way back to my Airbnb. It was like cold and it crushed by other stuff in my bag. My point is, I like doing stuff like that. I'm so focused in that hour, walking back for an hour, to my Airbnb and getting there, because there was a big protest about to happen. So I was weaving through protesters. And I was so focused on that, I don't have time to, you know what I mean? Like just getting focused on other stuff. In that hour, I had no concerns about anything else other than getting them groceries home. And so like that's where I try to stay mentally, is like wrapped up in my stuff or my friend's stuff or stuff that brings me joy. I just don't engage with all the other stuff. And it is easier for me because I'm not working right now. So I don't have to go to work every day and hear people talk about it ad nauseum. But like, yeah, I just don't engage. You know, I don't know what's going on. My social media feed, no news comes up. If it does, I block it or I say don't recommend it. Don't recommend. I don't recommend channels that talk about that type of stuff. I just don't want to know. And it's possible to do that. Rose, you don't have to have a car to do seasonal work. I currently don't have a car. My last seasonal job, I didn't have one. Um, I don't like to say specific dollar amounts when it comes to saving money because I think that becomes more of a hindrance than a help. Because if I say $3,000, people will be like, "Oh man, I only got 2,500. I better wait." What's the difference? You know. So I think honestly, if you're gonna do seasonal work, you don't need a ton of money because like if you pick a place that has housing and meals, depending on what your bills are, like what do you need money for? You know. Like me, when I first started, I just had like my cell phone. So what was that, $50? You know. So I didn't need much money saved. I had $1,000 saved, and my buddy Ray gave me $250, so I had 1,250. I honestly don't think I touched that money. You know what I mean? Like, I think I just built on that. I don't think I ever dropped below 1,250, um, because I didn't, you know, I didn't spend any money because like I was getting my meals and my housing was coming out of my check. So everything I got on my check was me. So even if it was a $200-300 check or whatever, a week, or it might have been like $400 every 2 weeks. I don't know. This was 10 years ago too, but I didn't have to I didn't have to spend no money, so I didn't need any money. Like what so not as much. It doesn't take that much. I think you just have to kind of figure out what your bills are and like what's your emergency fund safety net amount, and just go for it. Or yeah, Praveen, you can do that too. You can say, I just let it go, Forgave him about 75%. I respect that. I respect that. John, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, and I get that. That's why I love getting on here talking and, having this community and people who stuck around for years. And like, I know it definitely helps me because, like I've always said, YouTube is very therapeutic for me. It does the same. Like, a lot of times when I'm doing seasonal jobs and things of that nature, I run into like-minded people. But other than that, like it's just me. You know what I mean? Like no, people don't share these same views. They think I'm crazy. You know, people love to like you. If you ever want to see awkwardness, if I'm ever around a group of people and we start asking what everybody does and everybody blah blah blah, when I start telling my life, oh, it gets quiet. Oh, it gets quiet. You know, every now and then you'll meet somebody like, oh, that's really cool. But just like regular people living regular lives, they just shut down. They don't know how to take it. So it's like, yeah, that's mainly what you run into. So it's cool to be able to come on here and like talk with people who live in similar lives or for some reason have these weird ideas about, living an alternative lifestyle, or people who just aren't going to judge you for it. There might be people like, I would never live like that, Tim, but it's cool to hear you talk about it and, learn about how the other half live. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I feel truly blessed to have this community and you being a part of it. Because, yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. Everybody ain't trying to live like everybody else. Especially not around here. See, Matthew said our lives are very different, but I love your ideals and thoughts on life. Yes, I appreciate that. Open-minded. And that's why, too, like, I think a lot of times people think I'm going to bash on people who, like, live certain ways. And in the past, I might have a little bit. I've grown. But I'm like, nah, like I understand that different people live differently, and I accept that. And I think as long as you're happy, I'm happy for you. I just live differently, but like, I've got friends who got very normal lives, but they're happy. So I love hearing about their kids and their dogs and, whatever, thing they've got planned. And, we talk about work. Like, I love it because I don't do it. So I got to get that input from somewhere. So yeah, we don't all have to like do the same thing or even believe the same things. We can still have a discussion. We can still have a conversation. We can still appreciate truth when we hear it. Love is love. Grimlock, you gonna be at Glacier Bay Lodge? No phone service? Ooh. Hardly an internet? Yeah, you'll come back a changed person. Remember I said this. Y'all gonna give it a summer. Grimlock, you stay out there, Glacier Bay Lodge all summer. No internet, no phone, hardly an internet. You gonna come back a changed person. It's just amazing what about 5 months unplugged out in the wilderness will do. It's crazy. I look forward to hearing the update. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to, but I'm gonna have to jump off. We've been going for a couple hours, and as usual, drinking all this water. You know what that means. So I'm last time I pushed it too far, and I barely made it back to my Airbnb. I literally had to like run up the stairs, just made it. So I'm gonna jump off. Thank y'all so much for spending this Sunday morning / afternoon with me. I really enjoyed it. I've been looking forward to this stream. Thank y'all so much for your time, your energy, the financial abundance. Shout out to the Super Chat squad. I really appreciate that. Thank y'all for being here, being a part of this. I love y'all. I love y'all so much. I mean that. Thanks for being in my life. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back soon.